It's about time to get to the good part, don't you think? How to stay sober. So how do I prevent myself from falling off that wagon? I will share my experience with you, but keep in mind that what works for me doesn't necessarily work for another. For me, the most important rock has been the AA program, because it's a place where I can talk freely about all my struggles in recovery, and with people that have gone through similar experiences. Simply talking out loud about my daily struggles with maintaining sobriety, instead of keeping it all inside my head, has been extremely helpful. Trying to explain addiction to a normie, a non-addict, is very tricky. In my experience, someone who has never experienced the desperate urge to get intoxicated despite everything that's on the line, even your life, simply won't understand why you can't just stop. And I don't blame them. It has no logic. It's a disease. But unlike, for example, diabetes, addiction can be contained by staying away from that first drug or drink. I don't feel like I will ever be cured from addiction. But as long as I stay away from that first drink, I never have to suffer the symptoms of the disease again. But my mind remains an addictive mind. Whether this has to do with science and biology or personality and formation, it doesn't even matter. I just need to keep reminding myself to never let my guard down against mind-altering substances. Because everything that I've gained in sobriety can be lost in a flash if I let my guard down for even a second. So how do you manage a sober life on a party island that basically revolves around drinking culture? Firstly, admitting my drinking problem to another human being. That was really important for me. And then learning to recognize my triggers and how to avoid them. These can be simple. For example, if I get too hungry or tired, I'll be more at risk of relapsing because it's harder to say no to your vices when your internal system is weakened. People and places. If hanging out with the same people that you used to get drunk with puts you at risk, then it's worth it to consider taking some distance from that crowd, at least for a while. But I mostly drank alone, so for me that wasn't a big one. Kinda hard to avoid hanging out with yourself. But staying away from places where I used to drink, aha! At first I felt like I should be able to deal with the real world. So I deliberately sought out my favorite drinking spots. Did I mention I had a couple of relapses during my first attempts at sobriety? Yeah, so I wouldn't advise that strategy. I now stay away from places that make me feel uncomfortable, and I always make sure to have an easy way out in case it all gets too much. Avoiding loneliness. Being in active addiction goes hand in hand with a deep sense of loneliness, for me at least. But stepping into the rooms of AA almost immediately made me feel like I am not alone in this world, in this madness, in this insanity of the disease. For the first time, I felt understood, and I no longer was alone in my misery. It's about stepping outside my head and not letting my negative thoughts get the overhand. Remember this one. Stinking thinking can lead to drinking. I know, lame, but true. But the most important thing for me has been to put in the work. As in, working on myself. This can be done in the way of AA's 12 steps, but it doesn't have to be so by the book. Rebuilding your life means cleaning up the mess you created during active addiction. Like maybe we need to apologize to some people for our past behaviors. For me, it was important to take a close look at my shortcomings and think about the kind of person that I wanted to become. Recognizing my character defects and working on bettering myself every day. It has become a way of life. And it honestly feels amazing to be striving for my best self and living my truth. Weekly AA meetings work for me because my brain tends to forget that it can't handle its liquor. Think of it like sober push-ups for the brain. And I actually enjoy the meetings. I get so much out of them just by sharing about where I am in my process and listening to others share about theirs. At first I was a little bit put off by the idea of a higher power being so central to the program, because I've never really had a clearly defined higher power. But I soon understood that all that was meant by higher power was that I am not central in the universe. There's something bigger at play, and ego only gets in the way of living the best version of yourself. It's a bit of a Buddhist approach to life, and that works for me. I don't control everything in my life. And the sooner I could accept that, the more at peace I would be. It's a process that I work for and grow in every day. You needn't worry about perfection here. There are many roads to sobriety, and my way might not work for someone else. I just wanted to share my experience, to share the hope that it is possible to live a happy, sober life. We are so lucky that nowadays there are so many support groups and facilities out there that can help. Being an addict, it's easy to be misunderstood and judged. But when we speak openly about it to a trusted person, we can finally begin to heal. I hope that the stigma and taboo surrounding addiction will soon be a thing of the past, because then there will be more room for healing. Thank you so much for listening. Much love. Stay happy, stay healthy. In my experience, someone who has never experienced I think that's it. That's it. Okay, done. Oh shoot, it's gotta be a bit more down. Camera woman, do your magic. Yeah, thanks. Rolling, clapper, and action. Thank you, director. It's good to have helping hands in the studio.